Welcome to Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. And, coach, the last time we met, you had one game left in the regular season. And we talked about how that it was tough sometimes going into that game having something to play for. The kids came out and played well. I thought the first half, you had a couple of crazy shots. One of them that's went viral, and you know that shot's coming up. I was actually at the newspaper this morning and somebody said they had not seen the shot. And I said, how? He has been everywhere. Not only did he lodge it all the way from the other side of the field, but or court, but it was after he had blocked a 3-point shot. And it was just an awkward angle. He actually ended up having two of those shots go in. And I went back and watched it, coach. The second one should have been counted too.
I thought it should have. I mentioned it, and then my coach said, "No, of course it wasn't no good," so I didn't kind of let it go.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it. But someone else told me, so that was good.
Yeah, you go back and watch the video, the buzzer does not sound till after it leaves his hand. But I mean, it wasn't a deciding factor. But
Right,
to end both quarters in the first half
right,
with those kinds of shots,
right.
it's unreal.
Those are the kind of shots that you on the other side.
Hmm.
Say, this is not our night.
Yes, sir. We want to talk about that game because a lot of people look at that final score and they go, "Whoa, wait a minute! You know, they expected you to win. You played Middleton at home and in Middleton rather, and you won by 30 points.
Right,
Here we expected, well, easily win this game, and down the stretch, it looked like they were in it.
right.
Final few
And
minutes.
they were, but you come to expect at the beginning of the year, all teams that are good are better
Yes,
toward the end of the year.
that's right.
So, I never really count with those early games. If you win them by 20 or 30, I never count them
Yeah,
because when it comes to the end of the year, good teams are going to get better.
yeah.
And Middleton got better. And, we kind of slowed the game down also. And then, of course, we did a lot of things that affected us that, Middleton didn't do.
Yeah.
And the fact that, but anyway, again, when you get to this time of the year, you can't fuss or you can't complain. There's no excuses.
Yes,
You have to win the game. You have to stay in tune. You have to go tit for tat. If you don't, you will lose the game.
sure.
And I thought we did a great job of playing tit for tat. And even when we got down a couple of points, staying in the game, staying with the game plan. And of course, at the end, we were able to call that timeout, I believe, with 5.4 seconds to go
Yes.
to set up set up the play.
Yeah.
And that's something that the play that we use and something that we work on it together.
Sure.
How we work on it. And it worked to perfection. And they fouled him, and he went and went to the free throw line and made the free throw.
You leaned heavily on that senior in the fourth quarter. He was a beast in the fourth quarter.
Right,
I
right.
mean, Kendrick really came out and played hard, and that's going to come through for this team time and time again. You talked about good teams getting better, and two teams stand out to me that we have played that I feel like we have gotten better at the end of the year. Middleton's obviously one of them. Bradford was another one.
Yes.
We beat them pretty good early in the season.
Right.
At the end of the year, that was a tight game in Bradford.
Oh,
Close out
yes,
the
it
game.
it was.
Well,
But
being like a 1-point game at the end, didn't it?
um,
It may have been a little better than that.
they may have been a little bit 57 to 51.
Okay.
But anyway, that's how it's always a tight game
Hmm.
at Bradford.
Yeah.
Always a tight game. But it was years when we were very good. It's always been tight game at Bradford. And my hats go off to their coach because you got to be ready to play. You just can't
That's right.
waltz up in Bradford and think
Mhm.
you win. You have to be prepared, and we know we have to prepare well for the game. And he does a good job. And they have to have him.
You made a statement earlier, and we had talked a little bit off air about it. Teams slowing the game down against you. Feel like that's what Bradford tried to do. Middleton maybe took a cue from the team and said, "Okay, maybe that's a way we can beat Humboldt." What do teams do to slow down the pace of that game for the untrained eye? What?
Well, basically, what they do is just pass the ball over excessively, pass it on offense. Waiting for a breakdown on our defense, and again, it does make slows it down, possessions down,
Mhm.
slows the game down. Our job is to try to speed it up. Sure, hard to make sure that we don't make mistakes on uh, defense. Because a lot of times when defenses get impatient, they start to reaching and
Okay.
getting out of place. But the key there is to stay in place do not reach, do not gamble, and make them take that and give them that one bad shot, which is what we were able to do.
And it seems like when teams have slowed the game down against us, the foul calls start coming into play.
Right,
Like you're
right.
saying, the
Yeah,
reaching and the things of that nature, and that's what other teams want.
right. So exactly they want, but, we're able to, we're able to make the adjustment
Yeah.
and play that stuff.
So, this week obviously is kind of an extra long week, because you don't get to play on a Tuesday night,
Right.
and we hope we play Friday. They're calling for all this bad weather coming in tomorrow, and hopefully, we can get the roads cleared and everything go on as usual. But how do you keep the kids focused? I know today was weight train day.
Right.
What does the rest of the week look like for you?
Well, today we will weight train heavy today and tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we were tuning in, Wednesday and Thursday, and go more to practice the
Hmm.
X and O part of it. And if the game happens to be a move backward, we'll go back to a heavyweight day. That's the best remedy when you having things like that. Offense is physicality, in my opinion. So it's always with physical, because the other team is off just like we're off. Right. The physicality comes into play when you have those days off like that. And we pride ourselves on being physical through the weight room. And of
Yeah.
course, that's what we will do.
So, and for a week, you have been talking about it doesn't matter who we play. We've got to play Humboldt basketball because when you sit here on a Monday, you really don't know. I mean, you may have a good idea. We look at the bracket and we go, okay, this is probably how it's going to go unless some just really crazy thing happens, and that's why they play the games.
Right.
Anything can happen.
Right.
But right now, I mean, that really goes to your advantage if you're focusing on yourselves.
Yeah. And that's the key. And like I said, when you get to this point of the year, uh, to those who know basketball,
Right.
you focus more on what you do as a team
Hmm.
and what you do and perfect what you do. Because most of the times you get to this part of the year in tournaments, you don't know who you're going to play.
Hmm.
And you don't have ample time to get ready for those teams. So if you're doing what you're supposed to do, I was interesting. I was watching basketball this weekend, and I was watching University of Houston play, and they were playing. Um, I can't remember who they were playing. Houston's been they've been a team that I've watched.
Uh-huh.
I know the head coach very well, and I just happened to watch them, and they won a game on the road, and he talked about uh, not so much of what the other team was doing,
Hmm.
but about what Houston needed to do to win the game.
Yeah.
And it was a job.
Wow. Was it Arizona?
It was Arizona.
Okay.
It
I'm
was
pulling it up
Arizona.
here.
Houston at Arizona.
Oh,
And
wow.
Houston won the game, but
Yeah.
afterwards he was talking about how this time of the year you focus on your team
Hmm.
and what you do. And of course, in my little bit of
Just a
experience,
little. Yeah.
in my little bit of experience, that's something that I knew, and that's something that has come to mind for me.
Yeah.
And of course, we try to do the same thing here.
Fantastic. When we come back, we're going to sit down with Coach Butler, your assistant, and I'll let you kind of introduce him. And then when you get to sit back down, we're going to talk about that district tournament.
Okay.
What do you want to see your team really excel at? Where do you think we go for the next level? You're always stretching this team. We want to go to that next level. So we'll
Right.
talk about that in a minute. But
Right.
why don't you introduce Coach Butler?
Well, Marcus Butler. What can I say? He is my chief assistant, and he's actually been with me 11 years.
Yes.
And of course, we go back before that. Butler actually played for me at Lane College.
Yes.
In one of the two greatest years in Lane College basketball history, and an excellent point guard. And to me, I've been around um, college basketball and around different coaches and teams. He's one of the best.
Hmm.
He's one of the best. Player development, player personality wise, I feel gifted to have someone like him.
Yes.
And then, of course, people always joke that he's just like me, but he has his own way. But he is an excellent player development coach. And,
Yeah.
and, and my hats go off to him because our guard play in particular is great because of the work that he puts in with our guards. Very knowledgeable of the game.
Hmm.
Sometimes him and I laugh because people say different things, and we'll look at each other and laugh because we've been in the war.
Sure.
We know what it's like. We know what it is, and he's an excellent coach
Yes, sir.
and excellent addition. And like I said, been here 11 years with me.
Been on your coaching staff 11 years. Now, there was a season or two that he wasn't necessarily in the building all the time. He had to do some jobs outside of the school system. What does it mean, though, to have him actually in the hallways? I
Everything,
mean, you can't really put a value on that.
everything. Because again, I've been very fortunate to have some great coaches,
Yes,
and
sir.
each one of my coaches has this responsibility because the funny part, sometimes we talk to them, I talk to them about being a head coach, and they're like, coach, I don't know if I want to do that. But being a head coach, a lot of things go into that besides just the court. That's the
Yeah,
small portion. And if you don't have good assistants, it can be a strain on you.
sure.
But the one thing about our program, and we've been very fortunate, I have been very fortunate to have great coaches who know what they're doing. And it starts with Marcus Butler.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Adrian Ingram, and of course, Vonner. They know what they're doing. I can trust them.
Yeah.
And I can trust their opinions. I can trust their decisions. And that's really valuable.
I mean, in the 11 years, coach, it's unheard of in high school basketball for you to keep a coaching staff this together. I mean, Coach Lambert ended up leaving, and he was a great coach. I mean, a great coach for us.
Sure.
And then you have the relocation of Shivers.
Right.
But that's the only two coaches that right off the top of my head that I can remember that have left the staff. Is it about really the Humboldt program? Is it a mixture of that with your personal relationship that you've built with them? What's this coaching staff together?
Well, that first of all, it's personal relationship.
Yeah.
It's personal relationships, relationship building. It's loyalty.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of drama
Yeah.
in our boys basketball.
Hmm.
We're loyal to each other. And it has a lot to do with that. And of course, they are excellent teachers. They're in field, for example, Butler's a math teacher.
Yeah.
Fields, which are, you can't find very many good math teachers.
Yeah.
Okay, he's an excellent one. And of course, Adrian Ingram is in technology.
Yeah.
And of course, those are fields that are hard. So that's a part. And of course, the biggest thing is our relationship and what we do here. Sometimes, we get a little, not frustrated is not the word. Sometimes we hear people say things, make comments, but no one knows
Hmm.
the work that we put in,
Sure.
time that we put in
Yeah.
to do what we do. Oh, yes, it looks easy. And sometimes we laugh at each other. We've made it look real easy.
Sure.
But the work that they put in, the work that we put in with our players allows us to have a successful boys basketball program. And I am not making any excuses. Not
Sure.
apologizing for anything that we do.
Yeah.
But my coach is doing an excellent job. And of course, if we didn't put in the work that we did and do the things we do, we wouldn't be successful as we are.
I think it all comes down also to your selection of who you brought in here. Everybody knows how to stay in their lane and do their job well,
Right.
because that contributes to the success on Friday
Oh,
night.
no question about it. No question about it. And I've even told myself down a little bit over the first couple of years that people have made comments that coaching, is not, but I don't have to be
Sure.
because I have some great assistant coaches.
Mhm.
We talked the other day about scouting and looking at opponents, and
Yeah.
they do an excellent job,
Yes, sir.
of finding video, finding film, and we look at it, we break it down, we show it to our players, and it take a lot of time.
Yes, sir.
Game preparation. Contrary to some people, who make comments that, what's the game plan?
Yeah.
Well, they would know a game plan from whatever they call it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we do have a game plan.
Yes, sir.
Always. Our kids are always well prepared.
Sure.
And again, that thanks to Marcus Butler and
There we go.
Adrian Ingram and Jeremy Vaughn.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll sit down with Coach Butler next, and then when we come back, we'll talk district tournament, and then what does it look like even beyond the district tournament? Because obviously there's still a little ways to go before you can say we're headed to Murfreesboro.
Right.
That's right. We'll be right back, folks. You're watching Viking News on Demand. This is Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. Welcome back in to Inside Humboldt Basketball as we sit down with Chief Assistant Coach Marcus Butler with the Humboldt Vikings. And Coach, welcome in. I think it's the first time this season that
Yeah,
we've
it's the
had the
first one
chance
this
to
year.
sit down. And first off, what's it feel like to be back in the building? Man, I was talking to Coach about that. It had to be hard to come in and coach, working another job, and then building those player relationships.
About the same.
Really?
When you leave and come back, it's about the same. Just got to get readjusted to what you're used to doing.
Yeah. Feel good to be back in the classroom?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the most part. It's
Every
kind,
teacher goes through that.
yeah, it's
That's
kind of stressful. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
The kids make you work for it.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. We have, man, it's been an incredible season. And I know you've been along the whole ride here, 11 years with Coach Abernathy. But what really stands out about this team this year that's special to you?
That's a tough question. And I
Yeah,
think about it quite often because this group is something different about this group than it was about the previous groups, and I think it's just because we've seen them from sixth and seventh grade all the way through compared to the other ones where we kind of just got them in high school and it was just,
yeah,
you know, they were almost halfway where they needed to be, and we just pushed them
sure,
over that hump.
sure. We was talking about the play Monday night. He actually had two shots that were just incredible, like from way, way deep,
Right.
which is not really stuff that you can coach per se. It's just kind of the athleticism of these players starting to show through, and it's been amazing to watch Coach Butler. Where I don't know that I have seen such a deep team in Humboldt in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute where we can go almost 10 deep and it not completely drop off, you know.
Yeah,
It's hard. It's most teams around the area can't even go 7, 8 deep. So, I mean, we're kind of blessed with what we have right now.
I mean that game where y'all scored 102 points, it wasn't really running the score up. You had a kid come off the bench, Jaden Champion, and score 30 points, and it's like you can't expect that to happen.
Nobody does. And when I see people and they ask me about it, and I say, well, I mean, we put in what we had. I mean,
Yes,
you can't tell kids to not still play basketball
that's right.
and still enjoy themselves at the same
That's
time.
right. That's
Because
right.
we have an end goal at the end of the day. So
That's
if we're
right.
not getting them better prepared, then we're doing ourselves an injustice. So
That's right. What does a game day look like for Coach Butler? We've talked about this with Coach Ab before, but every coach kind of has their own niche. And what does a game day look for you so that you can be focused by the time the tip off happens?
well, it depends on if it's home or away.
Okay.
Because if it's home, I usually go back home
Okay.
and I go reevaluate and I take me a little power nap, and get
Hmm.
ready. But if it's here, I mean, if it's away, I usually stay here and do everything I usually do at home, try to do it on campus and
Okay.
not have to do so much traveling back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, your key responsibilities during the game. You're an assistant coach. Coach Abernathy has had a great staff here, continues to have a great staff here. We talked about how every coach just knows how to stay in their lane. So let's talk about what your lane is. What is I mean, he talked about you working with point guards a lot, but on game day, what do you feel like is your main responsibilities?
that's tough. I don't know. I'm the mind after the mind. Like,
Yeah,
we feed it back and forth because to me, it says I'm assistant, but when the way we work together, I mean, I feel like we're equal. He gives me
sure.
the opportunity to say what I have to say. He says what he has, then we put our minds together and we all
Yeah,
we all come up with it together. I mean, it's no one piece that's doing it all. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So
yeah. This team is getting ready for district play. You've got a long week this week. And you've got a lot of players. Well, we know one has been a star player on another team and had to come in and learn how to play really team basketball. He came from a team where he'd score 30 points on you, but they would still lose.
correct,
And he's had to adjust to, hey, I can be okay with 16 points in a game, which is still a good showing, win.
correct,
How do you feel like these players have adapted to that mentality? Because a lot of them played together from sixth and seventh grade, but
right.
he's one that had to kind of plug in.
So to just kind of ease that, he did that because that's what he had to do. That was what required him. I've seen him outside of where he was and played,
Hmm.
and he's a kid that he's gonna do whatever it takes to win.
Okay.
So if it requires him to have 12 assists, then he's gonna have 12 assists. Or if it requires him to take 5 charges, he's gonna take the 5 charges. So I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't a big adjustment for him as people would think it would be,
Okay.
but overall, I think it took our kids more of time to accept him and figure out how he played more
Hmm.
than it was for him to figure out how the offense and how things went,
That's
how
fair.
things go.
Yeah, that's fair. This is a team that's very It's pretty senior driven. When you look at this team, there's a lot of seniors on this squad. I didn't
Yeah,
realize how many until we got here to Middleton that night. And I was like, oh, wow.
yeah,
Wow, this team's going to look really different next year.
real heavy.
So is there a lot of talk of that? Do you hear the kids talking it? Do you as coaching staff mention that a lot? Say, hey guys, this is their last hurrah. This is it.
I mean, yeah, they understand it, and some days it's more passionate than others, and some
Sure.
days you have to remind them that hey, this is it. So I mean, it's the underclassmen. I think they understand and they want to do what the best they can to help them get to their goal because it's only making them better for the future in the long run.
Yeah. What is it about this team too that has built that camaraderie? Because I believe like I see them out in town and they're hanging out together. So and that's been kind of a staple with this program. I go all the way back to the RJ and that team, and then even before that, Bradford and Asante Bradford and that group. There's always been that. What does this coaching staff do to try to build that?
Well, half of it is not even us. It's
Okay.
like again, it goes back to them playing together fifth, sixth, so once you play with somebody for so long, certain things that we can have conversation about it's not as what I'm saying.
Hmm.
I can say something to you that somebody else can't say to you. It's kind of like
Right.
they're like, kind of like real brothers.
Yeah.
They might not get along, but they get along.
Yeah. We talked about this team looking different, but I saw you were sitting sideline when the junior high boys were playing the other night. And man, that was a tough loss. That one, there were so many
Terrible.
things that we could say about that game. Oh my word. I know me and you talked about it. But you've got some spirited players that are moving up from that team too next year. How excited are you to get to work with them now that, we have a unique thing here in Humboldt where junior and senior high schools under the same roof.
Correct.
So now you can already, if I'm understanding it correctly, you can already get your hands on those
Oh yeah,
players.
most definitely. Um, I'm excited about them. I'm more so. I want to finish this one out right now
Yeah.
before I get because they ask me every day. They're ready. They are as soon as the game was over the next day, they ready to work for the next year. So
Yeah.
it's more so I have to slow myself down because I'll get caught up in the future and now, and I'll overstimulate myself. But
Yeah.
I'm right now. The right now goal is what we have right now, one game at a time, to get these next 7 to 9 games out. So we can be a state champion. So
Yeah. Now, Samora Harrington, she was on the girls' junior high, wasn't she?
correct,
Okay, so I saw her actually able to get on the court the other night.
correct.
Now, is that where they can play regular season, or can they go ahead and play in districts?
So with middle school, with junior high, as long as you're in the same building,
Okay.
eighth grade, they can come up. They can move up to high school once
Okay.
their season is complete. Because once you move up, you can't go back.
So with the boys program then,
We can
so
do we can do the exact same thing, but right now
it's
is
just the way you got depth.
the way right
Okay,
exactly.
so that's where I was going with that
Yeah.
question. Not necessarily put you on the spot with girls
Oh no, no,
basketball,
you're good. No, you're
but
good.
I was thinking, okay, so that's the explanation for those that would be watching and be like, well, that was a good player in junior high. Well, being a good player in junior high and high school is two different things.
Yes,
And
and
then,
then a lot of the girls they practice junior high to high school. They almost practice a lot because they don't have the numbers, so they do a
yeah,
lot of practicing together. So
gotcha.
those middle schools transition to high school a little bit easier than our kids do.
There you go.
Yes,
There you go. Well, you've got a game. Let's see. You play Friday night,
Friday night
and we'll figure out who we play after. Let's see, tomorrow night. No, yeah, tomorrow night.
should be yeah.
Yeah,
Bradford and
Clarksburg.
hmm
So we'll figure out who we play then. But it's like Coach said, at this point in the season, you're really more focused on you than you are anybody else. And these are teams you're familiar with.
correct.
You've played all of them at least twice. Um, and so you're already familiar with what you're going to get. And at this point, you are who you are. So what's your message to this team as you head into the district tournament from your standpoint?
The same thing we preach all the time. Just stay focused and do what we ask.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't realize how much the small things matter.
Yes, sir.
Getting to the gym on time. Make sure your bag is packed. Make sure you get so. I mean, I can go all day long, but we don't
Yeah.
want to give you everything that we,
That's right.
we
That's
preach.
right.
But yeah,
Sure. Sure. Well, Coach, I appreciate you sitting down with us today, and good luck on Friday night. Want to see you in that championship game on Monday.
praise so.
Welcome back into Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. Had a good visit there with Coach Butler, and you can tell he brings a little bit of energy and a different perspective, to your sideline. I know people say that y'all are a lot alike, but he does bring his own stuff to the table as well.
Oh, he does. He
Yeah.
does, and I appreciate it. And it actually gives me, over the years of him being here, gives me more time to be analytical about the game,
Uh-huh.
not get caught up so emotional in the game, be able to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And I find myself being able to thinking about the game more so than, um, what the players are doing. Thinking about the next move,
Yeah.
thinking about the next substitution, and I'm able to do that real good,
Hmm.
with him playing the role that he does.
And Coach Butler being there with you. A lot of coaches, they look at their assistants, but it's almost like they coach kind of looking over their shoulder,
Yeah.
you know. But you don't have to do that here.
No, and have so much experience that that's not something that I worry about.
Yeah.
You know, whether you know, because as far as I'm concerned, I want coaches
Yeah.
that know a lot about the game because there's no one, believe it or not, there's no one way to do this.
Yeah.
Different ideas, different situations, different circumstances. You can always use them all.
Coaches view success differently. Okay. So some coaches say, I'm a successful coach. Obviously, if we win championships, I think that's on everybody's list. Want to win championships. And that's one of the things we haven't been able to do here since you've been here in Humboldt is get to that gold ball.
Right,
But then also, the coaching tree. How many have come out of your coaching staff to be head coaches other places?
right.
What does success look like for you when you finally are ready to walk away from the game and say, I've done everything I can do here? What does it success look like?
Well, where we are right now, Seth, is we have done everything in this 11 years that we could possibly do except get the gold ball.
Yeah.
We won multiple regular season
Hmm.
uh, titles. We won multiple district tournament titles. We've won multiple regional um, tournament titles. We've won multiple sub-state titles. We've been to the state multiple times. The only thing is the gold ball.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this other day, and I was talking with Dr. Epson about it, and George Yarbrough and
Hmm.
Coach Green. Because we talked out on a conversation about coaches who don't win championships. We were saying it's like we actually were at the district meeting.
Hmm.
It is amazing how many good coaches, great coaches, coach for years
Mm.
and never win a championship. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I feel entirely just overwhelmed, just blessed
Yeah.
to win, to have the championship program that we have had here in Humboldt. I mean, just beyond measure. I mean,
Yeah.
just beyond measure. And then, of course, when I go back to my days as coach in Kentucky, it was the same way. I was just blessed to be 97 and 11 in 4 years there, and then to come here, I thought I kind of lost count after 200, but I believe we must be around 225, but
Yeah.
230
Right.
in the 11 years, and just the championships we won. It is amazing. We have really been blessed, and again, for me, I don't care what anybody else says. God has had his hand on me,
Yes, sir.
on our program, on our coaches, on our staff to be that successful because, again, I know many coaches who have coached, and sometimes I kind of not feel sorry for them, but sometimes I wish that they would win because they coached for years
Hmm.
and never won a championship.
Wow. Does it also speak to kind of your administration, also how much they really, really support the program?
Right, right. They do. And of course, when I was hired here, the superintendent and of course the principal who hired me, who we know the story. I turned them down 4 times before
Yeah.
deciding to take the job. Were very supportive,
Yes.
Lord, to get me here.
That's right.
Sometimes I laugh and I see them both. They brought me here, left me here. I'm still here. But the administration has been supportive.
Yeah. And getting Dr. Epperson in here, with a basketball history, does that help too?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
She understands what it takes.
Yes, she does.
She attends those games. They've got a good photo. They have not used it yet. But I have a great photo of her from the junior high boys game the other night, standing up and cheering. And
Okay.
I'm like, y'all got to use that photo. I want
Yeah.
that in the paper because they
Oh,
need to see our superintendent is really, really playing.
exactly. It's huge.
So well, let's talk district tournament. Yeah, I mean, you've got a big. I mean, if you lose now in that district tournament, you feel like you really left a lot out there. And obviously, you don't want to put too much pressure on the kids, but at the same time, how do you find that balance of how much pressure to put on them that hey, you know, anything other than a victory at this point in the season and at this point in the district tournament would feel like a letdown.
It would, Seth, but I also feel that everything that has a purpose and
Yes, sir.
every uh, situation, circumstance has a meaning,
Hmm.
and that's how I operate.
Okay.
We give the best that we can, then let the chips fall where they may.
Okay.
And
Fantastic.
we try to instill that in our players. Give us your best.
Hmm.
Give us your best. And if the results are not in our favor, then we got to live with that.
Yeah.
And that's what our program is built on.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to win. Yes, we would love to win, but I just personally feel like there's everything happens for a reason,
Yes, sir.
and that's how we tune in.
And I've heard a certain message from you pretty much all year long too about, controlling what you can control. You've talked about, you can't control the refs. They're gonna make calls. You've got weather coming in this week. You can't control the weather,
No.
but you've got to control what you can control.
And like I told my coach this morning when we were in the weight room, that we talked about maybe, there being a delay. So I said, well, the only thing we can do is if there is a delay, we recycle and get more
Yeah.
physically.
Sure.
Because the next team, in most likelihood, are not preparing physically like we are.
Yeah.
So when we do get a chance to play, that first game is going to come down to physicality. Who's sharp? Who's diving on the floor for the ball? Who's rebounding?
Yeah.
Because obviously there's going to probably be a lot of missed shots. There's going to be a lot of missed plays. But if you're physical and you're ready, we can get by that first game.
Are you practicing that slow style of offense against your defense right now?
Uh, Again, our program is predicated on adjustments
Okay.
during the game.
All right.
We gonna still play Humboldt basketball.
Yes, sir.
Our offense is gonna still be the same. Okay. It's just to us. It's up to us to adjust. Okay, it's up to us to adjust at that point. To be successful.
So it's not as much practicing it as much as you're just stressing those key things you were talking about earlier, not reaching,
Yeah.
those kind of things.
Being fundamentally sound.
Okay.
Not throwing the ball away.
Yeah.
Being where you're supposed to be. Boxing out, rebounding, uh, making free throws, making layups. Those are the things that we stress.
What's next for this team? You've experienced a lot of great things this year.
Right.
Obviously, any good coach is saying, "Well, we can go to the next level. We can, we can do better." I've heard that from you all year long. We want to keep getting better as we go. So, what is that measurable better for the district tournament that you want to see out of this team?
District championship.
Okay, that was easy enough.
District championship.
Yes, sir. Now, okay, so let's walk people through. Let's go down the hypothetical lane. You win the district championship, then this team, if somebody's new to high school basketball, what comes next? Because it's not straight to Murfreesboro. You've got another road here that we got to go
Right,
down.
right.
So what's next for this team?
After the district championship is what? The regional championship.
Yeah.
And that is a combination of 4 teams in District 13
Hmm.
and the 4 teams in District 14
Okay.
uh, to get to the sub-state game.
All right. So 13 and 14 face off. I was going to try to pull that list up real quick because 14A Tennessee basketball. And I'm gonna see if we can get that because it will be key. Have we played some of those teams already?
That's Union City.
Okay.
It's Greenfield. That's Gleason. That's South Fulton.
Okay.
That's Dresden. And
Bradford's not in that, is it?
no, Rapids in our district.
They're in 13. Okay.
In 13.
That's right, because we play the winner of Bradford and Clarksburg.
Yes, yes.
Yes, that's right. Because I know your familiarity with those teams once you get out of your 13A. I mean, you know who they are. You've seen them in previous years, but as far as this season, you haven't played any of those yet, have we?
No, nobody except Union City. Okay.
That's right. We opened the year up
We
at
opened
Kansas
the
City.
year with Union City.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously that they could be a completely different team at this point.
Oh yeah,
And
they are.
early in the
Yes, it
season.
will be. They
Yeah.
will be. And then again, another team, who gets better thing. Good program.
Mhm.
Another team that gets better toward the end of the year.
That was a great high to start the season.
Yes,
My
it was.
word.
It was.
Plus a game and a half.
It was.
And then, okay, so
Especially away.
do we know where the regional's going to be?
Yes, it'd be at West Carroll also.
West Carroll also. Wow. So you're going to be
Yeah,
close to home for
yeah, yeah, we will be.
that's amazing. Is that usual? Like where the region and the district's all in one place?
No, it's not.
Okay, I was like,
Whatever, for whatever reason, there is this conspiracy.
uh-oh.
Keep it away from Humboldt.
Oh no.
Okay, and we get outvoted every time.
Yeah.
For the regional championship,
Oh man.
district and the region, and but we were outvoted again this year, and that's how I got to West Carroll.
So you literally half played your last home game.
No, we get one for the region.
Okay.
In the region, we'll get that satellite game, that first satellite game,
Okay.
and then to West Carroll.
Okay. And as far as for dates and all, they can go to TSSAA.com. I'm sure those dates are sitting out there, or
Yeah,
do they, like I say, or do they wait till the regional or district's
the
over?
dates are actually there.
Okay. And they could always change, if we have some snow here, but
Right,
they're
right.
acting confident. But Coach, it's like they get it right one time, then they get crazy with this forecast. I've seen some say 3 inches, some say 6 inches, and I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it.
It
But
is. And it's almost never right. It's almost never right. Every once in a while they get it right.
yeah,
Most of the time it's not.
yeah, yeah. It's just snow. We should be okay, but they
Yeah.
get that ice and that kind of thing, and this ground is already cold and saturated, and it's like, oh man, this could be interesting the rest of the week. But we'll keep you updated here on Viking News on Demand. We'll post everything that we see, any kind of changes. Girls play on Thursday night, boys play on Friday night. Girls will play in the late game, 7:30, and they will play. It's the winner of Clarksburg and West Carroll, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Go back and look at those photos that we posted earlier. I might be wrong, but I'm going off of memory here. And then the boys will play Friday night in the early game, 6 o'clock.
Right.
So make sure you go for that first game or you'll miss it because the boys play early. And all of this is at West Carroll. Championship game for the girls is on Friday. Oh, no, Saturday. And the championship for the boys will be on Saturday. And then we'll have another show.
Monday.
That's right, Monday. And we'll have another show on Monday. We'll drop another one there, and hopefully, we're talking about being in that district championship. So, all right. Well, Coach, thanks again for sitting down with us here on Viking News on Demand.
Thank you, sir.
That's Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy.